Hello and welcome to TV Camden, and I am Chris Folsom, and with me is William Hemmons, and we've entitled this show, actually William has entitled this show, When My Father and Mother Forsakes Me. What we're going to try to talk about over the next bit are things about children, how to protect them, about peer pressure, and the things that go on in children's lives so that we would be educated in a way that would be more beneficial for our kids, so they will grow up and be positive human beings in our society today. And William, first I want to thank you for coming up with this idea and sharing it with me that we could put this situation together.
Thank you for having me.
We have in the past we've done a segment talking about your past, and I want to briefly talk about that again before we move into some of our topics that we want to try to cover today. However, before we get into that, I want to just remind everybody and let you know that our studio location, if we can call it that, is from the Jameson Inn. They have been so kind to let us use a room in their hotel. And if you have needs, folks coming in, or you just need to get a weekend away, contact Abigail Cotter. She's the general manager here at Jameson Inn, and they're 105 May Creek Boulevard here in Kingsland. The phone number is 729-9600. And one of the things that they have going on right now is they tell us, and they want you to know that they're always ready for company. And if you bring in any coupon for any hotel, that they'll meet or beat any written price. And that's here at the Jameson Inn off 95 at exit 3. So, and again, we want to thank Abigail Cotter and the folks at the Jameson Inn for allowing us to use their facility to tape this on this day. William, tell us a little bit about your background, so that folks will have a little bit of understanding where your passion comes from.
My passion comes from my background, where my father left when I was 5 years of age. He was a musician, and he felt that we were a hindrance as far as to his music career. So much of my story starts at the age of 5. I was the oldest. My youngest sister was 2.5 years of age, and my brother was 7 months, and we were left in a hotel room. And I can remember drying the tears of my mother and telling her that everything was okay. And when I write, I state that I have been a counselor since the age of 5 years old. And I was in my first foster home at 5, and I was in various foster homes in various bad places. None of them were happy places, and I was in my last foster home at the age of 17. I had my share of trials and tribulations in school due to things that I was dealing with. Went into the Army. I made E5 sergeant. I had a choice between the streets and going into the military, and I tell people that my story is much like the Antoine Fisher movie. I went into the military. I had my share of problems in the Army, and I went to college. Political science was my major, psychology was my minor, and more or less much of my career has been working in the field of counseling, working in the Department of Juvenile Justice, dealing with various detention centers, working with Satella Mental Health Resources, Gateway Behavioral Resources, and as of late I've been substituting in the school systems. So much of my life has been based on what I feel my calling is and what my purpose is, and that's working with people that come from like situations as I did.
So you have seen where you have had, not necessarily the most profitable position that you were placed in, more or less,
Yes.
a way to say it, to where that there were some key people in your life that helped you overcome some of the instances that you had in your life. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
I would say, as far as most of my upbringing, basically I was on my own in my mind at that time. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time that your first concepts of God is through your parents. Didn't have parents. I don't recall the foster parents, but one of the first people that was pivotal and important in my life was my grandfather. He accepted us out of our last foster home. My last foster home, we was in Michigan City, Indiana, and he passed away 8 months later. And so I have had a few people along the way, like we called him Pac-Man, Sergeant Benjamin in the military. He was like the character of like the Denzel Washington in the movie Antoine Fisher, where I would get into fights, and I was in so many fights that he would come and get me on the weekends to stay with him and his wife to keep me out of trouble. So as a matter of fact, and I was blessed there because I still made E5 sergeant, and a lot of people were upset because I was making sergeant because of all the trouble that I kept getting into. So I've had a few college professors that were a blessing to me, and I mean, even in me being on this show, I mean, you've been a major blessing to me. I just want to make sure that I thank you, and
I think that your story is remarkable, and where you are now is remarkable when you look at the big scope of things. And now that folks have a little bit of a background of you, they understand where you're coming from. I think as we go through the remainder of our time together here, that you'll get a better understanding of where William comes from when we're talking about children's awareness, and not and peer pressure and bullying. Those type of things are what some of the things we're going to talk about. And let's just jump right on in with that. You've seen this with your counseling and experienced it in your life as well. When we say children awareness, what are we really talking about?
We see it in the news. It's all online. I received several Amber Alerts yesterday on my cell phone. One of the things that's been dominating the news lately is the young girl named Summer Thompson, 7 years old, where they and I ask for prayers for that family, and my heart goes out to that family because I can't imagine the loss of a child, especially like that. If you remember the popular story, well.